Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, as you probably expect at this point in time. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more Let's Play of Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom versions, as we're currently playing through right now, while the Nintendo Switch remake should be on its way. So last time, we've essentially managed to explore through Barrel Volcano, and in addition to that, just battle some more enemies here and there, and on top of that, just keep on leveling up, just to ensure about the fact that we can able to become a lot more stronger. In addition to that, we also manage to actually pick up certain frog coins and all that stuff, just in case we were able to actually get enough, so that way we can able to potentially try to buy something very useful. Well, it wasn't until whatever we get to later on, as it is. So even then though, today for this video is about the fact that we'll be able to actually finish up everything in terms of the forms of Barrel Volcano, and because of that, I can sense about the fact that the 6th star piece should be on the next room. So even then though, despite the fact that, well, unless if I was trying to go back for a bit, just in case I really want to save my game, but as a result, I don't think I can need to be worried about this for right now, because obviously, as you can tell, we've already set up the actual team for not only for Geno, but also with Princess Toadstool as well, or Princess Peach to be more specific. So anyway though, so let's just go into this next room, and oh, I was right. Looks like we got ourselves the 6th star piece, and no interruptions or anything else like that, so it kind of reminds me of the forms of the 4th star piece, since it journey forms within the Star Hill. Well, except the fact no matter what though, it looks like we stumbled across into the red color, as opposed to the purple one, which, oh, okay, it looks like we didn't get that star piece after all. So in some cases though, it looks like we stumbled across into this very strange fella, which is by the forms of this though, it appears to be Axum Red, and Axum Green, and also Axum Yellow, and let me guess, Pink? Yep, Pink. And last one is Black. So it looks like it kind of reminds me of the forms of the Power Rangers kind of vibe. Although except the fact that, well, obviously we need to receive that particular star piece as quickly as we possibly can. So all we have to do for this particular segment right there is about the fact that we need to make our way out of the volcano until they realize about the fact that something tells me we might come across into yet another boss battle. So in some cases though, without doubt the coolest boss fight, I'm not gonna lie. Especially concerning about the specific point that I'll talk more briefly about it once we're able to get the battle started. So in some cases though, it's about the fact that we need to make our way at the very top of the actual Barrel Volcano, just in case about the fact that you're gonna have to be able to keep climbing. So that's all you have to do. Thankfully, no isometric platforming until at the very end of the game though, that's the only thing. So either way though, for the most part, this part is not too bad. But, straight to the point about the fact no matter what though, we ended up into the spring right there. So naturally, we can able to hop onto here, but like I said before, there's no safe spots or anything else like that, so yeah, something tells me about the fact that we got able to do this like perfection run or something, so. Well, mind you, it's been about 6 days ago since I actually have last played this, so yeah, that must have been said something, I suppose. So either way, so it looks like they summoned the Blade ship. So yeah, it looks like about the fact that they about to get away, but of course we need to stop them. So either way, here we have ourselves not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 Axum Rangers. So as a result, yeah, it does kind of remind me of the Power Rangers parody or anything else like that, except the fact that obviously about the fact that, well, funny story actually is the fact that this wasn't exactly the first time I actually somehow recognized them 5 during the forms of this game, because for whatever reason that Sonic did actually tell me something, that whenever when he was young, he used to watch the Super Mario Bros. Z, you know, with that flash animation and stuff like that. Well, apparently that is when we firstly introduced to ourselves with the forms of the Axum Rangers. So as a result, yeah, it seems kind of cool and entirely respectable, especially concerning about the specific point that, well, obviously that was actually a pretty cool thing back then. So either way though, let's get into the actual, the Axum Rangers for a moment. First off we have is Axum Pink, Axum Pink does have 400 HP, and she drops about 10 experience points, if I'm assuming so. But, I believe it doesn't drop you any coins, which that could be also applies for any other Axum, color variations, including the second phase of this entire battle, which we'll point out until for later. So, as for Axum Black, he does have 550 HP, and he drops about 40 experience points, if I'm assuming so. And also there is Axum Green, which does have 450 HP, and he drops about 20 experience points. And there's also Axum Yellow, which he actually got about roughly 600 HP, and he drops about 40 experience points. And Axum Red does have a lot of health, which as a result, he does have 800 HP, and he also drops 40 experience points, much like the forms of Axum Black and Axum Yellow. So yeah, for this particular fight, as far as I'm aware, as you saw for about a few moments ago, it's probably best able to take down Axum Pink first, because obviously she does manage able to incorporate the actual healing special move or something like that. At least depending if she able to actually choose either Axum Black or any other colors for that matter. So as a result, that as you probably already know, that it's probably best to take down Axum Pink first, and then I believe we need to take down the Black Axum, or just Axum Black after that, and then you have to go through a green one, and then yellow and red for last, just in case you need able to take care of the forms of those guys all at once. So, and a good thing we did somehow brought Princess Toadstool into the party, just in case for, you know, group hugs that we have to able to constantly going to be using, just in case if there are some emergency situations for how much health we have left. So, and in addition to that, we also managed able to bring Geno, as you saw, probably because of this very, very cool special move that he did somehow pull off, that deals so much damage to the forms of certain, not only certain enemy encounters, but also certain bosses here and there. So even then though, yeah, for the most part though, especially noticeable if you managed able to do it a bit of a cheating way, like as you noticed that we still managed able to equip the Lazy Shell for Princess Toadstool, because obviously her defense is actually ridiculously high. So as a result, because I couldn't help it for myself about the fact that how useful that particular accessory was. Although I was originally trying to make things a little bit challenging, but as a result, I just really want to get this a bit of a move on, basically, before we move on to, let's just say the last portion of the game, actually, because as a result, aside from the forms of some extra content we might able to show off eventually, including buddy forms of that additional optional boss fight that we somehow accidentally skipped over during the forms of the first time we ever experienced Land's End, basically, during the course of in a desert section. So even then though, hopefully I'll promise you guys I will able to get around to that. So either way though, let's just go ahead and use the yeah, I think I'm also able to go ahead and use the group hug again, just in case for Mario needs to able to heal up, because obviously with the Lazy Shell, does so much damage right there. So I think that will be a pretty cool thing to able to noticing this from a get-go. So alright, so we got 2 Axum Rangers left, so in some cases now we need to focus on the yellow one. And it seems that the Axum Yellow is almost down, so as a result about the fact that despite they're still standing for the most part, it's just about the fact that they can't participating for an attack. So anyways, let's go ahead and use this little fan. And despite the fan doesn't seem able to do that much damage, but it wasn't until when we get to later on throughout the game that we're able to actually get ourselves the final weapon for Princess Toadstool. And trust me, the final weapon for Princess Toadstool is going to be super recommendable. So either way though, so there goes Axum Yellow, and now we need to focus on the last member, which is of course Axum Red. So of course he's definitely a little bit tricky to deal with, but regardless of such though, thanks to the group hug, then we should be able to actually deal with this fight no problem. So but if you think this entire battle is going to be over, well, the reason why I say phase 2 or anything else like that during coming up, because as you can tell, there must be some sort of like a secret weapon they've got for themselves. But I suppose we'll also mention more about it once we're able to get to that phase. So anyways, let's go ahead and deal with some bit of damage onto Axum Red. and I think he's come to a point saying about the fact he's saying enough. So as a result, he's got a plan B. So because of that though, he's probably going to be able to be activating the forms of this ultimate weapon, which is none other than Axum Rangers. Apparently that's what it says anyway. So yeah, from Axum Rangers, as far as for this particular point is concerned, he does have 999 HP, almost 1000 HP by the way, and I believe if you do manage to able to finish it off, basically though, it gives you for about 50 experience points, and much like the forms of the individual Axum Ranger colors, he doesn't give you any coins. And by the way, for that particular cannon shot right there, that is the most deadliest attack you ever gonna have to come across, and there's no way you can able to block it. So as a result, yeah, and every time whenever you do manage to finish your turn, the actual cannon laser thing decides to able to charge up until likely or so for the next couple of turns. So yeah, just trying to able to actually just focusing on utilizing physical attacks, so as a result, that way you can able to actually deal with some bit of damage involved. So anywho though, a few things I want to explain for this point today, and that's what it appears to be about the fact that today's date, of course, the 26th of August today, in some cases in 2023 today. Naturally speaking though, is about the fact that Tiana, she's almost finishing up with Kirby's Eternal Dreamlands Deluxe, until specifically until our next Thursday coming up, because as a result of that particular matter though, is about the fact that she did have a lot of fun time with it so far, despite how much repetition how that's been going to be going on for, when it comes to likely replaying the exactly same stages again, or potentially speaking though with the exact same sub-games over and over again. But regardless of everything else though, I suppose I should probably let her mention more about it during at some point until our next Thursday presumably. So, and once you do enough damage on the forms of Axum Rangers, well, straight to the point, this entire battle is finished. So as a result, yeah, definitely not hard of a fight though, especially concerning it's always important that we need to level up. So, and of course, just like the forms of the booster tower, we need to make our good running start, able to jump off, and oh, I was literally so close to able to actually get myself my next level up, which I'm pretty sure I was off by 3 experience points, if I'm assuming so. So there goes the Axum Rangers, and that way we can now finally able to actually get ourselves the 6th star piece for reals. I mean, it's kind of like a similar situation as the forms of in a seaside town almost. But there we go, we've got the red star piece and only one more to go. So it could be signified as the forms of presumably the yellow color might be the final one. So either way though, looks like I wonder where that last star piece will be at. I suppose we'll find out more details about that eventually at some point. So for now, let's go back into the forms of Nubus Land for a while, because that way, this is where we're able to actually get our more progressioning kind of stuff. So even then though, yeah, I just can't even believe about the fact that we're getting very close towards the end of the forms of Super Mario RPG as well. I mean, can you guys believe that? Especially concerning about the specific point that despite with the forms of the lack of uploading schedules in the past because of the forms of that ridiculous soul throw that I've been having for a couple of weeks or so, but regardless of such though, I'm still better as it goes by, so even then though. One thing I surprisingly forgot to comment on during the forms of in the last episode on this, is that once you finish up everything in during the forms of Nubus Land, that as you can tell, in one of those rooms in particular, not only does it get rid of every single enemy encounters, but also there we got ourselves a glorious golden statues of not only for Mario, but also with Princess Toadstool, Bowser, Mello, and Geno. So yeah, that's actually a pretty cool way to able to change up the room, don't you think? Especially concerning that these 5 playable characters are all heroes, basically. So yeah, you probably get the idea for that little solution worth noting for. So yeah, if you do manage to able to talk to them, then I'm pretty sure it'll pretty much lead you straight into the final area in the game. Which, apparently though, about the fact that since that, you know, we've now got 6 star pieces now, so as a result, something tells me the final area we're about to be going back into Bowser's Castle. Or should I say, Bowser's Keep. So, yeah, it's been a very long while since we actually last been into the forms of Bowser's Keep since the very beginning of the adventure. Like, usually we have to rescue Princess Toadstool while dealing with Bowser, while taking place in during the forms of the Chandelier. So even then, no, that's, you know, time flies, you know? So I'm probably not going to be able to go into the final area just yet, mainly because, as you can tell, I'm actually going to be able to be focusing on some extra stuff every once in a while. So just to ensure, I just want to get these extra stuff out of the way before we move on to the forms of some other stuff worth noting for. So anywho though, so yeah, while this is going on, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, well, I already mentioned about this before, is about the fact that hopefully by that time until next Thursday, that Tiana will be able to actually, you know, completely finishing up with the forms of every single aspect, enduring the forms within Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and exponentially speaking now enduring the forms within September, we can not only continue things on in the forms of Super Mario RPG, despite the fact that we haven't exactly got that long left, while we're able to actually finish up the entire game just before the Switch remake is going to be coming out. And as a result for that particular matter though, is about the fact that we can able to go back onto Sonic Frontiers after a couple of weeks absence, especially concerning about that specific point. I just want to get one of those games needs to be over and done with, and eventually, since that now is a perfect opportunity that thanks to the forms of DLC number 3 did somehow finally get it announced, and especially noticeable is about to be releasing at some point until next month, which is of course the 28th of September, that you know, is about the perfect opportunity that we can able to actually go back into Sonic Frontiers. Well, at least in terms of for Sonic anyway, so just to ensure about the fact he's probably going to be tackling through some other stuff here and there first, before he dives right into the forms of some more stuff here and there. So even then though, speaking of the forms of something Sonic the Hedgehog related content-wise, we already know about the fact that Sonic Superstars is almost getting closer to its release, so as a result that still, it's incredibly unbelievable they somehow released the game in exactly the same week as the forms of how it does it for, you know, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which I think I've already brought it out during the forms within the Donkey Kong Country on the Game Boy Advance version, so I don't suppose I can able to brought that up again. So either way though, so yeah, while this is happening though, as you can tell, I'm actually going to be able to be searching for that particular mysterious object, which, as it turns out, there is actually that little small cloud that it appears in random locations. So as a result, it could be either be on Land's End or in a temple somewhere. So hopefully I'll try my best if I was trying to able to find myself the actual optional boss fight, as I've on about that for about a couple of weeks ago. So hopefully we'll try to find out as much as we can. So anywho though, so yeah, in terms of everything else I could possibly explain about this, is that apparently though, there's going to be an Asia limited edition Sonic Superstars game, which it might be obviously going to be released on Japan or China or anything else to be more specific. So as a result, what I found out, they got very lucky with the forms of content wise. Although I'll explain more details on that in a moment, because yes, we finally made our way to level 20 for not only for Mario, but also for Mallow as well. So that should be all pretty swell, especially concerning about that specific point that well, we're obviously almost going to be incredibly powerful at this point, although we still need able to grind some more experience points later down the road, until we're able to actually decide to tackle through one of those, well, I'm probably not going to mention about this right now, because obviously it'll contain some bit of spoiler moments here and there. So, for now on though, we'll just go ahead and keep on wandering around and stuff like that, while simply keep on utilizing the actual sinkholes, and, well, we found it. So, even though it doesn't take me that while to able to actually just to find this very strange cloud object, so yeah, for the moment, right now anyway, is that we only stumbled across into, let's just say, Formless, or anything else like that. Formless does have 10 HP, but in order to be able to deal the amount of damage to Formless, you have to pull off a special attack, specifically, for example, for Geno, and that's why we revealed this very strange cloud monster, which appears to be known as Mukura. Mukura does have 620 HP, and he does drop about 90 experience points, but no coins. But, since that we've become a lot more stronger than it was originally attempted, so as a result we can able to kick his butt, no problem. So either way though, let's go and use that special move for Geno right there, and straight to the point, he's pretty much not dead. Oh. I spoke too soon on that front. But at the very least though, the damage output is not that very high. So either way though, I'm sure he'll be down for good. And there he goes. So yeah, that's the entire purpose of this entire optional fight. So despite getting less experience points, but that's okay, because even then though, we've already reached for that certain level. So either way though, although of course I need to go back into this isometric platforming with those paratroopers in mind, which I was not expecting I might as well go there again, but regardless of everything else though, I just want to able to get this over and done with, so. Anywho though, so yeah, in terms of everything else I could possibly explain about this as well, is that, as I mentioned this before, that the Asia limited edition for Sonic Superstars was ridiculously lucky during that period. So as a result, not only does it contain the game itself, obviously, but much like the forms of how it does it on most gamers nowadays, with the forms of the Japanese versions or anything else like that, Sonic Superstars is once again ignoring the Xbox One or Xbox Series X release during the forms within a Japanese version. So I have no idea why. They still obviously going to be able to be releasing the game on not only on PlayStation 4 but also on PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch on the Asia version. So I still have no idea why they refused able to actually release the game on the Xbox consoles, unlike the English version, including multiple regions here and there too. So I just have no words to think about it. And of course, since that we did somehow succeed this particular isometric platforming game again, so that means we also got ourselves the Frog Coin. So kudos to that, I suppose. So anyways though, now let's go ahead and head back into the forms of other areas, because now we can able to focusing on some side content here and there, especially concerning about the specific point that now we've actually got ourselves the let's just say a feather, in addition to the forms of Zoom shoes, we can now able to finally take on the forms of that particular enemy that we've technically already come across into since we first visited to the forms within Pipe Vault, but of course we can never fight him properly because he did somehow make an escape. So as a result, we did somehow manage to able to equip either feather or anything else to be more specific. Well, mind you, it's been about 6 days ago since, like I said before, it's been about 6 days ago since I've last played this. So, anywho though, yeah, let's talk about the forms of the limited edition that Asia is about to be getting for the Sonic Superstars game. The first item is going to include, which appears to be by the forms of a signed original artwork reproduction, that it does feature a signature. So as a result, it does seem to be more standard stuff. In addition to that, they're also going to include the Sonic Superstars acrylic stand or anything else like that, which I'll admit though, that item does look pretty cool. And finally, the Sonic Superstars figure, which does feature classic Sonic with a Chaos Emerald. So because of that though, yeah, honestly have no idea why that the Asia countries got very lucky for that content. So I suppose it really doesn't matter anyway though, because obviously that unfortunately the spacing on my room has actually gone pretty low recently. So even then though, beggars else can't be choosers, I suppose. So anywho though, the next thing I want to mention is that there's actually a new game is about to be releasing on not only on the PlayStation 4 or multiple platforms, but for the Nintendo Switch of all things. So as a result, Alien Hominid HD is about to be coming on the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, about time that that particular game has finally come to its release on the go for the Nintendo Switch. So I'm not exactly sure what the release date is going to be at exactly, but I'm sure we're able to find out more details about that during that specific period. But we'll see what happens in due time. So anyway, the next thing I want to mention is that there's actually a new update that has just been recently been announced during the forms of in one of those random times, I guess. That's what appears to be by the forms of No Man's Sky is getting the Echoes update. So as a result, I have no comments from there, especially noticeable I've never actually played No Man's Sky before, but I definitely heard about anything else for that specific, but never actually played that before. So either way, so as you can tell about the fact that the reason why I keep on running away for certain battles is because, well, despite the fact that sometimes it can be felt a bit luck-based at points, was, you know, unlike in Paper Mario or Mario Luigi games, you can able to actually run away, you know, very easily for that particular button mashing. But as you can tell, we've now stumbled across into Shy Ranger. So now we can able to finish him off for good. So even though he does have about, let's say, 300 HP or something like that. Yeah, I think it's roughly 300 or something. So either way though, despite it's been a very long while since we've last been to the Forms of Pipe Vault, since the last time we actually been to there is most notably because of the forms of farming some more of those frog coins from that particular, you know, game that we are on about where it comes to the forms of trying to jump onto certain Goombas on 4 different pipes, which as a result, that could be very tricky if you managed able to go into like north or south directions, but I highly recommend with west and east directions because that way it makes the entire process a bit easier. So anyway, enough about that. So yeah, that's pretty much about it for this point. Now let's go back onto the forms of in Mulville quickly, just in case we can able to actually figure out something for this matter. So anyway though, unfortunately though, one of those games in particular is actually going to cause it Spirit Hunter Death Mark 2. Sadly, that game has been delayed at some point on February in 2024. So I've obviously have no idea why that delay usually exists anyway, but I'm thinking it's most notably because they need a bit more, some bit of polish to it. So either way though, I guess it's that. Surprisingly enough though, speaking of something related to Sonic the Hedgehog actually, is that what I found out during the Forms of In 2 days ago, well, surprised to tell you, there was actually a new update has recently been revealed for the sake of the Forms of Sonic Origins, specifically Sonic Origins Plus. So as a result, it does manage to feature some patch updates, including, well, they fixed a lot of issues that ever since during the Forms of Day 1 edition, during the Forms within the DLC expansion, or Sonic Origins Plus, if you will. So as a result, they did mention something related to Nearest Neighbor pixel rendering available in all titles, and also players can toggle Game Gear sound to mono, and also plays Game Gear games will now fill the provided screen space properly, and there's so much more I can possibly think about it. So even now, I'm also able to look on down the list just to see what certain features they added in. Once I've able to tackle through certain side stuff here and there. So anywho, in terms of new features they added in for the sake of the Forms of Sonic Origins Plus, what I've noticed is that there are some, let's just say 2 new features they added in. Like, for instance, the new features like, players can now toggle off anti-aliasing to have a nearest neighbor pixel rendering in not only in Sonic the Hedgehog 1, but also Sonic 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and Sonic CD, including all of the Sega Game Gear titles in the options menu. And let me tell you, it looks so much better. Like, as a result, thankfully, we can now able to toggle the actual, the option now. So as a result, what I've tested out on my Nintendo Switch version most notably, it looks so much more better, which as a result, I don't have to worry about the forms of this very blurry quality when it comes to the forms of every single games in mind, because it does kind of reminds me like I was playing the Wii U gamepad quality more than anything. So even though I can now able to actually play some bit of more on Sonic Origins Plus now, thanks to the forms of this very improvement, you know, the actual improvement quality now. So even though I guess that's a good thing. And also they've shown us a new feature where players can now toggle the Game Gear sound to mono in the options menu, which obviously that feature was addressed the double audio Game Gear audio issue. So because of that though, at least I'm glad that was fixed, especially noticeable because, my god, during the Forms of In 2 months ago roughly, that just sounds a little bit disorientating or disorientation, so even though that I'm very happy that's been fixed. Although, despite the fact that there was still some bit of lag here and there, or with the forms of the lack of control inputs every once in a while for certain games, like usually for Sonic 2 on the Game Gear, well, it does manage to work perfectly in Sonic the Hedgehog 1, luckily, so I can at least assure I can able to actually finally manage to go back into that game for a certain progression, and In addition to that, they also managed to fix a lot of issues during the forms that specific time as well, like Game Gear games will now fill into the provided screen space properly, which I think I've already addressed that, and also they fixed an issue where Super Amy will have proper after images while running, so yeah, I guess it's that. And also Amy's movesets will appear smoother in Sonic 2 special stages, because I don't know about you, whenever we managed able to show Amy Rose in the special stages in Sonic 2 before, that she just looks incredibly insane. So as a result, I'm very appreciated that particular sprite animation's been fixed, so yeah, I guess it's that. And also they fixed an issue where in Metallic Madness Zone 2, item boxes, locations, or the location and contents are properly placed. And also in Quartz Quadrant Zone 2, Amy will no longer disappear as the camera moves away in certain conditions. And also players can now pause the game while in Doomsday Zone. So yeah, that's actually a pretty cool thing to worth noting for. And also they did somehow address something in during forms of in boss rush mode against with Egg Tilter. Knuckles will have proper rolling animations from springs. So yeah, I guess it's that. And in Flying Battery Zone, spin dashing into the magnetic presses will no longer result in instant collision death. And also the correct description for jump is now present in the Chinese localization of the Sonic 3 and Knuckles digital manual. And in competition mode, Knuckles' changed direction movement has been addressed. And also additional physics adjustments have been made in Sandopolis Zone. And menu text will no longer shrink after entering the museum and returning to the main menu, which I think we've already pointed out during the forms of the true final video for the sake of the forms of Sonic Origins already, so yeah, it doesn't take that long. And also Amy will now be able to complete stage loops while using her rush attack, so yeah, I guess it's that. And also the game will no longer crash while playing as Sonic and Tails after collecting the 6th Chaos Emerald in Sonic 1. So at the very least they did somehow sort that out. And in Sonic CD, extras that are unlocked will now remain unlocked, so I guess that's a good thing. And also in Sonic CD, Amy will appear in the proper coincidence after time traveling in certain levels. So yeah, I guess that fixed that as well, I guess. And I think we're almost done here. Like, as a result, I think there's only one thing left they have somehow addressed. That's what appears to be about the fact that the opening cutscene animation, well, in terms of the forms of the quality, has now been improvement on the Nintendo Switch. So as a result, which surprisingly I forgot able to check on that actually, because I was usually into the forms of double checking on the actual how good the quality of these games now, especially concerning about that specific point that at the very least it's now been sorted by then. Well, mind you, it's not exactly perfectly done yet when it comes to addressing the actual patches or bugs or anything else to be more specific. Like, they still haven't addressed the forms of some physics problems during the forms of Marble Garden Zone Act 2, when you're trying to roll down into a ball, or anything else like that. In addition to that though, I still really wish if we do have the original OST music selection for not only for Carnival Night, but also with Ice Cap and Launch Bay Zone. Well, I get it because of the forms of the licensing issues, so it might be a bit... it's so hard to tell at this point, but at the very least that certain addressments have been addressed out, so even then though, I'm very appreciative about that. So even then though, what's even kind of crazy to me though is that happened right after the actual confirmed release date for Sonic Superstars potentially, so yeah, that's insane. Oh, and another thing too is about the fact that Splatoon 3 did somehow get a random video, that's what appears to be by the forms of, let's just say, a lyric song or something like that, called Big Betrayal, which I'm not exactly sure what that's about, but even then though, I almost assume about the fact that they're going to be releasing the actual trailer for the DLC or something like that. but we're not exactly at there yet. So even then, I was really expecting about the fact that that'll be, seemed to be the case, but we were pretty dang close for that particular mentioning worth noting for. And I suppose the last thing I want to mention, or perhaps even maybe more, things I would like to point out, recently, during the forms of, let's just say, in yesterday, although it wasn't until when it gets to the point in during exactly the same day, as in Mario Plus Rapid Sparks of Hope, Rayman in the Phantom Show DLC, that's what appears to be about the fact that there's going to be a next Nintendo 64 game is going to be on its way onto the NSO expansion pack, and it is Excite Bike 64. Yeah, I was originally going to say Mario Party 3, but we're still not that yet. Especially noticeable because at this point in time, that we've only got 2 N64 games left during the forms of the roadmap, during the forms of based off from the likes of in 2022, Nintendo Direct in September lineup. Like, as a result, yeah, for Excite Bike 64 is about to be approaching onto the NSO expansion pack, and it's going to be releasing until the 30th of August, which as a result, it's roughly the exactly same day as the forms of, you know, like I said before, Mario Plus Rapid Sparks of Hope, Rayman in the Phantom Show DLC. So yeah, that's going to be insane, especially concerning about the specific point that I found is very, very cool, is that much like the forms of how it does it in, November 2022, that we're usually going to be getting ourselves not only 1, but also 2 Nintendo 64 games have been appeared in the NSO expansion pack, which as a result, in this month so far, in August in 2023, we've actually got not only Pokemon Stadium 2, but eventually we'll get ourselves Excite Bike 64. So as a result, that's actually pretty insane if you ask me. Especially concerning thanks to the forms of the Pokemon Presents, which already did happen, during the forms of the beginning portion of the month. So, and I suppose, in terms of the forms of the game selections we've got left, that's what appears to be both, like I said before, not only Mario Party 3, but also with 1080 Snowboarding, which I think those are the only 2 games left, in terms of the forms of the game selections, in terms of the forms of the NSO expansion pack. We're not exactly sure when does the last 2 will be released during that period, although it might add it in more eventually, until when it gets to the point for the Nintendo Direct schedules or something like that. But then again though, time will tell, especially noticeable, because everyone keeps on, you know, begging for, you know, not only for Banjo-Tooie, but also with Donkey Kong 64 and exponentially Diddy Kong Racing as well. But I suppose time will tell, especially noticeable, because it might be a bit difficult to speculate at this point. So even then though, as far as the actual release date for not only for Mario Party 3 on NSO expansion pack, but also with the forms of 1080 Snowboarding, my main concern is that 1080 Snowboarding might potentially be on sometime in winter, which as a result, because of, you know, winter setting and stuff like that, and thus you're able to go into snowboarding, so I guess that kind of makes sense for that regard. So yeah, I guess that's that. And I still have no idea when does Mario Party 3 was expecting to able to actually get the actual release schedule for the sake of the forms of that particular NSO expansion pack. So, oh yeah, I should also mention about this as well, and that's what appears to be that apparently out of nowhere is that there's a game called Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star. It's been confirmed for its physical release in the West, so I have no comments for that particular point, I must be honest here, especially concerning about that specific point. I had never actually experienced that game either, but regardless of everything else though, everything else will be come together at this point in time, so. But yeah, in terms of everything else I could possibly say about this, I guess, that's what I could really talk about. Although, mind you, about the fact that I'm almost trying to able to unlock Panda Amy in Sonic Dash, but hopefully by that time until by the end of this particular week, which appears to be on, let's just say on Sunday, I will able to actually expect to able to actually get Panda Amy in due time. although I still really dislike the actual changes of the actual unlockable method this time around, because again, that with the character cards, I'm fine with that, but it's just about the fact that I'm still pretty much used to with the actual event tokens, I have to be quite frank, especially concerning it's actually way easy and simple to able to obtain them, but for whatever reason, in the forms of the character cards, I don't know, it's just something about it just feels a bit pace-breaking to me. Especially concerning about that particular moment where I was begging that there was going to be a lot of those events worthy cards or anything else to be more specifically, but beggars sales can be choosers, I guess, especially noticeable. At the very least, I did manage to get some of my progressioning during that period, but still, it just feels kind of annoyingly consistent when it comes to like unlocking certain stuff and what have you, so... But yeah, that's why I feel about it, I guess, when it comes to the forms of changing these mechanics quite fondly. But either way, though, I suppose that maybe seems the case, or anything else like that, so... But I digress. So, and also I'm still playing through Mario Kart Tour again, which as a result, not that too surprising on my book, especially concerning about that. Well, I'm quite surprised that we've almost at the halfway point in terms of the summer tour before we move on to the next tour coming up, which I'm not exactly sure what content does it brings us into once we get into the forms of the next tour after the summer tour, but I suppose we'll might as well find out more details about that in the next couple of days or so. Mainly also for the sake of the forms of the beginning portion of September, if possible, but then again, we'll have to wait and find out during that time, so... But, yeah, in terms of everything else I could possibly say about this, I guess, well, I suppose one thing I should probably point things out right away is that, remember when I mentioned this before, back in Juni forms of in Donkey Kong Country on the Game Boy Advance, that basically does about the fact that at this point in time, in Juni forms of in next week, there's going to be an uploading schedule change, which as a result, I'm about to be going back onto Donkey Kong Country on the Game Boy Advance, and not only on Monday, but also on Wednesday and Friday as well. The reason being for this is because I just want to get this game finished before we're able to continue things on in Super Mario RPG, and Sonic Frontiers, and eventually Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania once Silver the Hedgehog is finally going to be ready to able to actually go on to the Master Mode or anything else like that based off from Super Monkey Ball 2, including some special mode challenges or anything else like that, so... But either way, yeah, that's what I could say about this, I guess. Although I would have liked able to explain something else for that matter, but honestly, I'm just so happy about the fact that Sonic Origins Plus is almost fixed during that period. Although, mind you, about the fact that they've still got a lot of adjustments they've got left. So even then, though, for instance, with all that physics problems, and especially noticeable with the forms of, I still really wish that they'll bring back the original OST, but it might not likely going to happen because of the licensing issues, like I said before. And on top of all that stuff, though, I just really wish if they are able to have, like, oh, I don't know, because relatively speaking, though, I actually managed able to be playing myself Sonic the Hedgehog 3 AR or anything else like that, like Sonic 3 Air, because as a result, it stands for Angel Island Revisited. Because as a result, I actually really enjoyed that particular project, enjoyed the forms of that particular fan-made game in mind, especially noticeable as well. Some people always attempt to play Sonic 3 Angel Island Revisited a lot more than the Sonic Origins version counterparts. I think it's pretty obvious because they somehow managed to got themselves the original OST with involvement of Michael Jackson himself, or perhaps even maybe because they enjoy jam-packed full of content during the forms of in the actual Project fan-made game. So even then though, yeah, you can definitely recommend that version as well, assuming of course about the fact that if your laptop will run super smoothly, which luckily for me, it does manage to run very smoothly on my laptop, but I'm probably not going to be able to be doing some recording segments on that particular point, because you probably already know, since Journey falls within the final Let's Play of 2022, whenever we did manage to do our Let's Play of Sonic the Hedgehog Triple Trouble 16-bit fan-made remake game, which as a result the game would tend to lag at one point, which I know it sounds a bit unpleasant to look at, especially noticeable because you know, it does manage to run on likely advanced settings, but regardless of such though, I can still able to recommend it no matter what, so... In fact, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. What was your favorite fan-made Sonic games you ever played? Because I'd like to hear your thoughts. Because for me, my favorites are Sonic the Hedgehog Triple Trouble 16-bit, and especially noticeable with Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Angel Island Revisit. And my god, there are so many fan-made games out there. Like, let me tell you, its possibilities were endless, you know? And I suppose the final thing I want to mention during the forms of today's discussion, and that's what appears to be about the fact that one thing that I, or Tiana, have completely forgot to mention about during the course of the forms of those three Let's Plays respectively, which is of course Super Mario RPG, Donkey Kong Country on the Game Boy Advance, and of course Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, is that, well, it seems about the fact that the next chapter for My Little Pony Make Your Mark, specifically Chapter 5, as it turns out, it did somehow manage able to give us a small, brief clip that just recently came out for about a few days ago or something like that. So as a result, what I've noticed on one of those clips in particular will focus on Breezes, which as a result, yeah, it's been a very long time since we've last seen those Breezes, ever since in the forms of Friendship is Magic Generation, especially concerning about the specific point that it was on the forms of in Season 4, back in Friendship is Magic. So even then though, apologize for that little tongue twist in the end, folks, because, I mean, let's face it though, I'm still very happy about the fact that Sonic Origins Plus is almost fixed, but even then though, they still need able to address something, like I said before. So even then though, and I suppose the actual release date, for the sake of the forms of Make Your Mark Chapter 5, at least as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be releasing until the 18th of September, so it's going to be about, let's just say, 4 days before the physical version of Pikmin 1 plus 2 Nintendo Switch physical version. So because of that though, yeah, I'm curious to check it out once that particular chapter is about to be releasing during that time. So but either way though, it seems about the fact that we've almost nearly at the end for the sake of the forms of Make Your Mark series, which as a result, it kind of feels like a similar kind of release time from the likes of the forms of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass for, you know what I'm saying, with all that particular, excuse me, with all that particular release gaps or anything else to be more specific. So, but either way though, as far as everything else, I would like to mention something else though. I think that's as far as I can say about it. So even then though, yeah, quite a lot of stuff I've recently mentioned about this during the forms have been today actually. So with that being said, I think it's a perfect opportunity that we might as well able to end things off at this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, and that's what appears to be about the fact that we'll show off some even more extras. And after that, we can finally take on the final area in the entire game, which we're going back to Bowser's Keep. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later, fellas.